Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Off the Board for April, and also welcome to Scrapbooking from the Heart for April. Today I have chosen to use this beautiful layout from Wilna Furstenberg as my inspiration piece for Off the Board, and I just love that painted look and everything, so I'm going to go with that. And then our topic for Scrapbooking from the Heart is, I believe it's renewal. Let's see here. Yes, it's renewal. And I just wanted to make sure I said the right word. Um, and so, what my topic is, I'm going to be talking about renewing a friendship with my friend Amy. There were, I don't know, maybe a decade or so, maybe a little bit longer, that we were not really in contact with each other, and I don't really remember there being a specific reason. And some friendships are like that. They come into your life for a season, a person does, and then for whatever reason, they are not in your life for a while, and sometimes they return, and sometimes they don't. And so in this particular case, Amy and I kind of caught up with each other a few years ago and kind of renewed our friendship, which has been such a blessing to me. She is such a wonderful person, and I really enjoy her company. And we do have a lot in common. We both love scrapbooking. We both love hanging out, and um, we were really good friends, like in our early 20s and stuff. And so we have a lot of things to reminisce about as well. And so she's super caring, super sweet, funny. I don't know that she tries to be funny, but she is funny. So Amy, if you're watching this, you're pretty funny. And anyway, I just get a kick out of her, and I really enjoy her company. And so we have been hanging out a lot on Zoom and doing a lot of scrapbooking together, which is always enjoyable. And so I pulled these two old photos. These are of us back in our early 20s, and it's not a great photo of either one of us, but it was probably what the better photos that I could find from back then. And I didn't really want to pull a photo that was current because most of them were group shots of us with other people. So while these two photos are two separate photos, they're taken at the same event at the same table. We were at opposite sides of the room. So at least we're the same area. And what I did was I made them black and white, and then I just made us colored. So it removes all of the color in the background. And I did that on an app called Photosplash, in case you're wondering. Um, and that is on my iPhone. So it's really easy to do. And if it's something that you're interested in doing, then Photosplash is the app that I used for it. And then I pulled out this blue paint from Ali Edwards, and I'm using some mixed media paper that a friend sent me. Laura over at City Scrapper sent it over to me to try out, and I really do like it. So thank you, Laura, for that. Um, and so I just used this Ali Edwards dark blue paint, and I just kept adding white paint and then a little bit a different shade of blue to get those different tones, because I didn't have um, a wide variety of blue paints available to me. So at least not um, in my current area where I was working. I might have had more options if I went next door to my mom's house, but I didn't want to do that. So anyway, a lot of times I'm scrapbooking late at night, so I don't want to like go interrupt their household late at night and have people coming in, at all hours of the day. So I'll just use what I have. And then I did not catch some of this on video, but I went back and what I did was I took all of these dies that I have of foliage, and I cut them out of varying items. So I used some vellum, as you see I'm working with right there. I did cut some out of acetate. You can see some white printed acetate underneath my scissors. I did cut some out of that, and I cut some out of watercolor paper, and then I watercolored them. And I cut out those two big flowers that you saw me cutting out of some patterned paper. And I am going to layer all of those up much like Wilna did in her layout. And I really, really like the way that it looked. And so I just played with different textures and different colors. So I definitely wanted some solid white, but I also wanted some white that was not solid. The acetate cut really well with some of my dyes. It did not cut well with other dyes. It just depended on the die, and part of it was because of that white printing that's on it. The acetate portion cut well, but then the white printing didn't cut great. So I kind of had to play with that and pulling those pieces apart. And then, of course, the vellum cut really well. No problem with that. And then the watercolor piece, the little white sprig to the bottom right-hand side there, cut very well. So I already had some of it layered up. That's the part you missed. But I do need some pieces going up the right-hand side there. And so that's what I'm going to build for you. And I just did these the same exact way. I started out with the larger pieces at the bottom. So in this case, the vellum is the larger piece. And then the vellum, when you do put some liquid glue on it, it does tend to curl, so I kind of had to play around with that and make sure that it was stuck down pretty well before I moved on. And I just kind of followed the border of where the photos are sitting. Those photos are actually sitting on another piece of white cardstock, and I did ink it in navy blue all the way around the outside. And then I am just going to add these pieces going from the bottom being the largest and then the top one being the smallest piece. And I'm trying to have them come from underneath the flowers that are at the bottom, so you don't see like a clump of stems right in that corner. And it hides it pretty well and looks pretty good. And I just like how this is all coming together. And I am using my watercolors there, but I'm adding a lot. There's very little watercolor in the pan. It's like leftover watercolor from earlier. And I'm just adding a little bit of water, so I'm not using a ton of water, and I'm not using a lot of pigment either, so I'm getting these lighter colors, and I like how that looks. And you could just sit there and add as much foliage as you like. There's no rhyme or reason to how much is the right amount. It's whatever looks good to your eye. I just like lots of sprigs sticking out, and then one of those sprigs actually has like little bulbs of flowers on it, so those are kind of pink, and those are kind of shooting out to the right hand side of the grouping there. So while I'm working on that, let me just tell you that I have links for everybody down below in my description box for both Off the Board and Scrapbooking from the Heart. They are two separate monthly series. Scrapbooking from the Heart is more journaling based and story based. And so we are given a prompt each month and we go with that. And then Off the Board is we go pull something from our Pinterest board, gain some inspiration from that, and use it to create our layout. So in this case, it was the layout from Wilna Furstenberg. And typically I try to steer away from using something that is scrapbooking related because I like to pull inspiration from other things like, say, architecture or patterns on brickwork or different kinds of mixed media that are not necessarily specific to scrapbooking. But in this case, I just went with a direct scrap lift. Now, of course, I changed my colors to blues from the pinks. And the reason that I did that is because I knew I had this thicker word that says friends in navy blue. So the whole thing was driven from that word friends. That's why I chose the blues. And I thought it would be better to have the blues as the paint than as the flowers because that would provide the most amount of contrast for the word friends to stick out. If I had stuck it on a blue flower, it definitely would not have shown up nearly as well. So my title is going to be Friends Again, and the reason I am using the white thickers at the bottom there that say again versus the navy blue ones because though that package of thickers is a Paige Evans package, one side is white, the other half of it is blue, but I chose the white because I don't want the emphasis to be on the word again. I want the emphasis to be on the word friends. But I do want it to note that this story is about us kind of renewing our friendship. So hopefully that kind of explains the series to you for both of those particular series. If you have any questions or comments, of course, you can leave those down below, and I will definitely get back to you. That is something that I always try to get back to any comments or questions that you leave for me. So feel free to leave those down below if you have any questions. If you're interested in the dies, some of those are from Kaisercraft. The silvery ones are probably from Kaisercraft. The gold one is from Spellbinders. And then rather than doing sequins or enamel dots, I decided to use the puffy um, circles from that same thicker pack, and that is just to bring in more of that navy blue. And I thought it just needed a little bit more touch of that, and they are sparkly with silver glitter, so I thought that was a lot of fun, and it's kind of an elegant look. I really like it, so I thought that kind of finished it off nicely. Now, as you know, if you watch my channel and there's a white background, I typically like to frame it. I did go around the entire outside with navy blue ink. You can kind of see that on the screen there, but it wasn't enough for me. So I went and I trimmed down my entire layout by 1/8 of an inch on each side. And then I decided to go ahead and back the entire thing with a navy blue frame. And that just kind of finishes the whole thing off for me. I still did go and ink it up. I just really liked the way that ink looked because it is inked around the white cardstock that is where the pictures are framed, and my journaling is going to the right hand side of the photos. In case you're wondering what that blank spot is, I will be journaling here in just a few moments. And I don't make you sit through all of the journaling, but you know, you will see me do some of that on screen before it cuts over to the still shots. So there is what it looks like finished off, and I just really like that framing of the layout. And then I couldn't figure out why, but my paper did not seem like it was cut straight, so I did go back and trim a little bit of it off. And sometimes that happens if I'm not holding the paper down all the way at the bottom of where the trimmer is, and so sometimes it'll be perfect right at the starting, and then the paper kind of like curls up a little bit as I'm trimming it because I get lazy. I'm a lazy scrapbooker, so so yeah, I'm much happier with it like that. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down just using my ATG gun. That seems to hold very well for any layout that is not really like warped. And the acrylic paint is not have enough liquid in it to make it super warped, like if you were using spray mist or something like that. If you're using spray mist or something like that, typically I try to tape my paper down before I start, because when it dries, if it's taped down securely, it will dry flat again. But in this case, I didn't have to do that. In the case that it is buckled, I do sometimes use liquid glue to adhere it to the background, because otherwise, like I said, it will not hold as well with the ATG gun. So that is the journaling done. The close-ups are coming up in just a few moments. If you have questions or comments, again, leave them down below. Links are down below to both of the series that this layout is for today, and you can check out everyone else who is playing along. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye now.